Everybody, today Black History Fact of the Day is the lovely Miss Henrietta Lacks. We're going to be talking about her cells, which a lot of scientists still use to today to help cancer research and other studies in the science community, health and science community. And we're going to talk about some good things that happen with her situation and some bad things that happen as well. So let's get into it. So in 1951, a young mother of five named Henrietta Lacks visited the Johns Hopkins Hospital complaining of vaginal bleeding. Upon examination, renowned gynecologist Dr. Howard Jones discovered a large tumor on her cervix. At the time, the Johns Hopkins Hospital was one of only a few hospitals to treat poor African Americans. As medical records show, Miss Lax began undergoing radium treatments for her cervical cancer. This was the best medical treatment available at the time for this terrible disease. A sample of her cancer cells retrieved during a biopsy were sent to Dr. George Gray's, a nearby tissue lab. For years, Dr. Gray, a prominent cancer and virus researcher, had been collecting cells from all his patients. Regardless of their race or social economic status, who came to the Johns Hopkins Hospital with cervical cancer, but each sample quickly died in Dr. Gray's lab. What Dr. Gray would soon discover was that with Mrs. Lack's cells were unlike any others he has ever seen before. Where other cells would die, Mrs. Lack's cells doubled every 20 to 24 hours. Okay? So today, these incredible cells, they're named HeLa cells from the first two letters of her first and last name, are used to study the effects of toxins, drugs, hormones, viruses, of the growth of cancer cells without experimenting on humans. They have been used to test the effects of radiation and poisons, to study the human genome, to learn more about how viruses work, and play a critical role in the development of the polio and COVID-19 vaccines. Although Mrs. Lax passed away on October 4th, 1951, at the age of 31, her cells continue to impact the world. Okay, although these were the first cells that could be easily shared and multiplied in a lab setting, Johns Hopkins has, they say, never sold or profited from the discovery or distribution of HeLa cells and does not own the rights to the HeLa cell line. Rather, Johns Hopkins offered HeLa cells freely and widely for scientific research. Now, I want to put a pin here, and I feel like this is bullshit here. So I am reading this off of Hopkins Medical Medicine.org. Of course you're going to say you didn't profit off of that. If you know the true story, the family has sued multiple times, have sought for some kind of monetary gain or some type of credit or control over their mothers or their family member cells, and have not been successful, at least the last time I checked it. So that is a little bit inaccurate there. There was definitely a fight back and forth for this situation. On top of that, too, they did not get her consent for offering her cells and using her cells for scientific research, as this clearly states that Johns Hopkins gives her cells away for free. And so you're giving her cells away for free and you're not, giving monetary gain towards the family. There's no reason why the family should not be sitting in generational wealth based off of their mother. Okay. Now, okay. Variations of HeLa cells are used in research all over the world, resulting in more than 80,000 scientific publications, breakthrough research in cancer and health benefits, and enormous economic returns to biotechnology and pharmaceutical industries. Henrietta Lacks' immortal cells would change the face of medicine forever. However, recognition of her involuntary donation to science would remain secret until the 1970s. Okay? Her cells were harvested from the tumor without her permission or knowledge to the family. They didn't even let the family know. Okay. Now, Dr. Roland Patilio, sorry if I'm messing that up, was the only African American at Johns Hopkins University to study under Dr. George Gray, the researcher who was able to grow lac cells from a biopsy when she was being treated for cervical cancer. This doctor interest in and compassion for the Lax family led him to become well acquainted with them. He purchased a headstone for Henrietta's previously unmarked grave and emerged as a champion for and the gatekeeper to the access of the Lax family. In fact, it took several phone call conversations between he and the author, Rebecca Schulet, for him to facilitate the introduction that led to her interviewing the Lax family. This experience will ultimately birth her best-selling book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, written in 2010. I recommend you guys purchase that book. Also watch the movie as well. It was fantastic. Oprah played her. It was really good. Okay. Now, in all fairness, John Hopkins did name a building after her. There was a groundbreaking in October 28th of 2024, so very recently. So John Hopkins breaks ground on building name in honor of Henrietta Lacks. The university and the health system leaders were joined by members of the Lacks family and elected officials Monday to officially kick off an East Baltimore building project that honors the legacy of a woman whose cells have revolutionized science and medicine. I mean, that's the least y'all could do. But congratulations to that. I'm glad that the family was a part of that. And there is a building, at least, in honor. That is legacy for that family. So, yeah.